I came across the term the thought daughter on a random day as I was scrolling through Pinterest. You see, there are sometimes things in your life that just click instantly. This was one such experience for me. Feeling very intrigued by the term, I decided to search the internet for a definition. And here is what I got. A young woman or a girl who is deeply introspective, sensitive, and often drawn to the media that reflects her own internal struggles. Although my definition of a thought daughter is rather a little too simple for someone who claims to be one. A girl or a woman who is aware of or watches her thoughts and wonders if others go through the same process or is it just her. It is indeed a question I come around very often. Does everyone think this much? Now, when I say that does everyone think this much, I am not referring to what one can categorize as overthinking. I am sure of the fact that I am not an expert on overthinking, but what I am trying to refer to here is the continuous internal monologue many of us experience. Is the person in front of me thinking the same? Do we even take our minds in similar directions? It is not my intention to call people unobservant. There is just not a better way to put it, at least from my perspective as of now. I can attempt to define it, but for me only. These thoughts I'd consider as a part of my identity. They define my response, my understanding of this world, and most importantly, serve the purpose of my North Star. Whenever I am lost, I can always come back to myself by following their trails. And it is not an easy path, but it is the one that feels the truest of them all. I can pinpoint to you the very moment I became a thought daughter. It was not the day I bought my first journal, nor the day I wanted to become one, but it was the day I was meant to be one. At least that is what I like to believe. I was coming back home after writing a career-defining exam, one I knew I'd fail. All I had in the 2-hour car ride home were my thoughts. At that moment, I physically wanted to rip my thoughts and my mind apart. My mind became my biggest enemy. I had never felt more hopeless. I remember yelling to myself, in my mind of course, that just stop. I want these thoughts to stop. And spoiler, they didn't. The time period that followed this incident forced me to dig deeper into my understanding of my life and my thoughts. And then something happened. Something I consider to be a sign from the universe, because I came across a YouTube channel named Park Notes. Now, why do I consider it a sign from the universe? Because the person had a very deep understanding of what his beliefs are and what he wishes to achieve from all the literature and the writing. He became my inspiration. And somewhere when the inspiration was high, I decided to form a different type of journal. And that was a soliloquies journal. I totally had to Google its pronunciation, but bear with me. The idea was simple, writing down my mind, a reflection of my internal world to understand my beliefs better. I made multiple entries in that journal and continue to make to this day, something you can see for yourself here. But once I realized that this writing down of my thoughts was providing me an outlet, everything changed. I have noticed over the period of over an year now, if I stop writing things down, my mind feels like a cluster. It is a need. I need to write things down to stay sane. I know saying that it sounds insane, but it is something that works for me. I did find the question to my answer eventually. Do others think the same? I know many do. But that brought me another harder question to answer was, why do others think as well? Why is it that many of us can never seem to escape the questions, the observations, and the realizations, while many do not even bat an eye to the depth of these? Maybe that is what makes this world the way it is. I want to share with you what an entire year of writing my thoughts down to understand them did for me. I went from finding others to validate my feelings for me to facing them myself. I learned that I needed to face the situation, handle the feelings that came with it, not suppress it just because it is easier. I realized I had many flaws, that the perfection I always ran towards was doing me more harm than good. My insecurities are complex, but not impossible to overcome. It is not that I am too emotional just because I choose crying to let out my frustration. I feel things and I shall feel them deeply if that is what my heart desires. What is your take on finding ourselves? In my case, with something as simple as finding a term on the internet, to taking months and maybe years of my life to understand where do I start to define myself.